And hello, everybody. So welcome, everybody. And thanks, everybody that's here today. And welcome to everybody that's on Facebook watching us right now. So we do have an extra audience besides just those of you that see yourselves and your names on the class roster. We have some people in Facebook watching us today as well. Yes, it is amazing, as Alex said. It is amazing. So we could have hundreds of people out there watching me. So today we're going to be talking about finger exercises, finger numbers. We're going to talk about how to read music for the piano. There's a lot to talk about. And then we're going to try to play some music as well. So we got a lot of stuff to go over in 45 minutes. So just real quick, just want to let everybody know that any of the files that I've shared will also be available in your journal later on after class. So you'll be able to get those forever. That's kind of something that will be there as long as you are a Take Lessons student. You will be able to go on and find those files and find lots of other good stuff from all of your classes that you've taken. So and if at any point during the class anyone has any questions, please just ask me it in the group chat area, because I'll be keeping an eye on that group chat. It's a really easy way to ask questions when we have a lot of people in class like this. It just makes it a little bit easier way to do that. So let's just get started right away. So we're going to first talk about finger exercises. And the way what we have to do first is we have to talk about finger numbers. So finger numbers are an essential part of learning to play the piano. And I know that a lot of people will say, well, that seems silly. Okay, so how many fingers do I have on my hands? I have what? How many fingers? Who knows how many fingers you have in your hand? Anybody know? Enoch, you're funny. 4. Alex said 4. Alex is a violinist, so it's okay. I heard him say 4, so he said 4. 4, okay, wait a minute, but we're playing piano. So we have 5 fingers on each hand, because we're going to use all 5 fingers on each hand to play piano. So thumbs are going to be 1. We're not going left to right or right to left. We're not doing like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that would be so confusing. Or like this. We're not going outside in. We're going inside out. So your thumbs are finger 1. So a good way to think about it, if you've never done this before, is to just kind of wiggle your fingers and say 1. Number 2. Index fingers are 2. Middle fingers are 3. It's fun to try to like hold your fingers out like this and actually try to wiggle your fingers, because it's funny when you don't have complete control over all your fingers. This is what happens usually. It's really hard to do. 3. 4 is your ring finger. And then 5 is your pinky. Let's see. I'm seeing people do this. Let's see. Enoch, that's awesome. See, Enoch's got good control over his fingers. I can see it. This is awesome. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not 1, 2, 3. So here's where I find the most problems with students is our left hand. Here's what usually happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't want to do that. Always go inside out. Think of inside out. It's your thumbs. The shortest one is going to be 1. Think of your shortest finger as your short stubby finger being number 1. Remember that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not too difficult. And I know that some of you are new here today. I noticed we have some more people joining. So let me just welcome everybody real quick. I went over the finger numbers all by name. We've got Alex and Comfort. I know you guys see Elizabeth. That is Comfort. Felix, welcome to your first class. We have Yvonne, Enoch, and I can't see the last person, Janiyah Williams, another newbie. Awesome. Hello. So we're going to start with a simple finger exercise. I'm going to show you 2 different finger exercises you can do as beginners that are fairly simple. And I'm going to talk about them using finger numbers. So here's what we're going to do. Here's my piano. I'm going to start with middle C for the right hand. Sorry about that if that got blurry for a second. And we're going to put finger 1. I'm not going to call it thumb anymore. We're calling this finger 1 on middle C. Now, how do we find middle C? We find the 2 black notes. And here's the middle of our keyboard or piano, and we go just to the left. Now, why don't we just count into the middle and find the middle note? Well, if you do that, it's not going to be middle C. So let's go for middle C. Finger 1 on middle C. We're going to be in a 5-finger position here. And all I want to do to start is just play 5 fingers up and down. Very simple, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's simple, right? Yes, I think that's simple. If it's not, let me know. Just let me know if anybody has any problems with it or trouble or questions. Just let me know. When you're doing this, here's what I want you to watch for. This is why I want to do one hand at a time. We want to watch our fingers. There's certain things we don't want to have happen. So we have 3 knuckles on our hands here that could possibly cave in or do something that we don't want. And we want to watch all 3 of these knuckles. Now, this is least likely to, but if you're double jointed, this knuckle can even buckle in here, these knuckles. But this one and this one, we want to watch them because we want them to be up, curved. We want to play on the tips of our fingers. We don't want any of this, none of this, if you can help it. I know at first it's going to be hard to let those fingers buckle in like this, but we want to try to keep on the tips of the fingers. And the more you do it, the stronger the muscles are going to get, the stronger your fingers are going to get to where they just won't buckle in anymore. This knuckle right here is also important. These 4 knuckles, we don't want to have them start doing this. See what's happening? Here's what happens when I do this. This makes my hand really tense. It feels like an eagle claw or something. Like it's like it's very hard to play that way. So we want this to be nice and rounded. Feel like you're holding a ball in your hand. Depending on how big your hand is, it could be a racquetball, it could be a baseball, or whatever. In the next class, Alex. Not this one. Can't do it in this one, I'm sorry. All right, so we're going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're just going to watch those fingers. I'm going to go slowly on each finger. Really watch your fingers and make sure that you're playing on the tips of the fingers. We're going to do the same thing with our left hand. Now, we're not going to put our left hand on middle C because it's just easier to play a little bit lower. It's just easier on your arm, on your hand, everything. We're going to start on the C below it with finger 5. We're going to do the same thing, just keeping an eye on our hands. Make sure that we're playing on the tips of the fingers. That's all we're doing, watching the tips of the fingers. And just make sure they are. Now, if you're having trouble with that, if you have trouble getting to play on the tips of the fingers without these fingers buckling, 2 things might be happening. You could just simply be pushing too hard. When you get this note to the bottom here, you could just still be pushing down for dear life to try to make sure that note stays down. We don't need to push so hard. Once it's down, it's down. Another thing is you're beginners, so your fingers will sometimes do that. It will happen, and it will get easier. Then, if that's easy, both hands at the same time. Thumb with the right hand. Did I say thumb? I meant first finger. We're not doing thumbs. First finger with the right hand. Pinky, 5th finger with the left hand down here on C. I'm going to do... I can't call out finger numbers, can I? The only time it makes sense is 3. They're opposite. They go opposite directions. So it makes it a little bit harder to call the finger numbers. We want to just watch our fingers. Whoops, and don't let that happen. Just watch your fingers and make sure you're playing on the tips. Welcome, Carol, Eric, and TC. Awesome to see you guys on Facebook. Welcome, and if you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. So that's our 5-finger exercise. You notice I'm going kind of slow? Go as slow as you need to play evenly. None of this. This is cheating. This does not count. You're not allowed to do that. You can play fast, but you have to play even. All right, second exercise. I know I said I was going to teach you 2 exercises. We're going to get this one really quick. This is only going to be one hand at a time. And here's what we're going to do. This is a strengthening exercise, finger strength building exercise. We're going to hold down all 5 fingers at the same time. This is not the full exercise. It's not that simple. You're not going to get away with anything that easy. While we're holding down 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're going to play finger 1 8 times, while also trying to keep our fingers on the tips of the fingers. Like that. Was that easy? Anybody think that was easy? If you think that was easy, then we move to 2. Do that 8 times. And then just stop and relax. Make sure your hand is relaxed. Make sure you can actually move your arm around. You don't want your arm to be just kind of stuck and going, I'm going to keep my hand here. It's going to stay there. It's going to be, I'm going to do this. Keep it relaxed. Move to 3. Now it gets harder as we move to the weaker fingers here. And I want to see, does anybody have anybody have an opinion on which finger is weaker, 4 or 5? I want to hear. Just type it in the group chat. Let me know if you think finger 4 or 5 is weaker. We're going to go to 4. This is why I asked the question. You're all right. I just wanted to see what was right for everybody. Here's what I'll say about that for me. For me, my 4th finger is the weakest, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be that way for everybody. And this is a great exercise for strengthening those fingers and creating some great finger independence. Then we do the same thing with the left hand, but when you do this with the left hand, see, we've got lots of 4s, we've got lots of 5s. So as you play more piano, as your fingers get stronger and you've played piano longer, the more you play piano and the stronger your fingers get, your 4th finger will be your weakest finger. Your 5th finger will actually get pretty strong. So when I get to my 5th finger, I have a really strong 5th finger. And that's just because of playing for a long time. You build up this muscle that doesn't get used for anything except playing piano. It's kind of how it works. 4. See, a lot of people say 4, some say 5, and you know what? Some method books will say it's the 5th finger. I don't know. It just depends. Depends on the person. We do the same thing with your left hand. I'm going to do this kind of quick because I want to get on to some reading music. And here's what you do. If you feel like you're staying relaxed and you don't need to stop, you can just keep going. Sorry, Alex, it'll have to be next class because I have to finish right on time today. That's why. It's not that I don't want to hear you play. I always love it. So the left hand, you're getting stronger as you do this. And then if you feel like you're tight and tense, just kind of shake your hand out, let the blood flow back into your hands, and it'll get easier as you keep doing it. That's just one of many finger strengthening exercises that you can do. So, any questions so far about these finger exercises before we move on to learning how to play a scale and learn to read music? Let's see. Anything? Any questions? No? No? Okay. Oh, you've been playing for 2 years, Janaya? That's awesome. Am I saying your name right, Janaya? Is it Janaya? I'm hoping I'm saying it right. I try so hard to say everyone's name correctly. You guys are awesome. All right, we're going to quickly learn how to play a scale. So here's where we start on C. Scales are those things where we play all the notes in a key. So in C, we're going to play all the notes from C up to C and back. And in C, we play all the white notes. This is why we start with C. So this is why a lot, let's see, where we got, this is why we play things in C to start. This is why most of the stuff that you start off on is in this key, is in C, because it's all white notes. If we started off on another key, we'd have to play some black notes. And we don't want to do that at the beginning. We want to make this as easy as possible. So a scale is me playing again from C, all the notes up into C, and then back. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play fingers 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to stop. 1, 2, 3. We stop here. And then at this point, the thumb kind of starts to creep under here, and it puts itself on F. And we play F with the thumb as the other fingers are coming over to meet it. Now you notice my fifth finger is on C. Then we keep going. 2, 3, 4, 5. Do that again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your mic is on, Alex. I just can't hear everybody because there's a lot of people on here. That's why. Because it's just a lot of people at once. We do that one more time, starting with 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not too hard. Now, if you have trouble with the crossing over of the thumb, try this. 1, 2, 3, and just move your hand over. Just to get used to it, just to get comfortable with where your hand goes. And eventually, you'll get to where you can do that. Now on the way back down, we're just going to reverse our fingerings. 5, start with 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Reversing the fingerings. 5, 3, 2, 1. Now here, how do I bring my third finger over? This is one of the hardest things to do. And I want to show you where a lot of people get this kind of wrong. I'm going to do something wrong with this. Watch this. Does anybody know what I did wrong there? Oh wait, Comfort says she knows. You know what I did wrong? Can you type it in the group chat? What did I do wrong? Or does anybody know what I did wrong here? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with what I just did? Anybody know? Didn't keep my hand straight. You're right, Felix has got it. So watch this, let's see. Look at that. That wasn't that hard. So here's where it happens. When I bring my third finger over, here's what I'm doing. Watch my thumb. Watch my thumb. My thumb moves, pivots like this to get my third finger there. So it's this that's kind of moving over with it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. That's okay, Janaya. You can just watch. Left hand. Let's look at the left hand real quick because we got to get to some reading. Starting with fifth finger on C, we're just reversing the fingering of the right hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. I think I'm getting blurry here. Do that again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. On the way down, we're reversing that fingering. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me go to some note reading, and I'm going to show you, after we learn to read at least a few notes, I'm going to show you how I've written out the C major scale for you guys, because I've actually got this written out for those of you that are in the class in Take Lessons Live. You'll be able to download this later, or you can download it right now out of the group chat. So let's start reading some music. Here's what we have to do. So we need to look at these things here. Let's look at this. Ignore my notes that I have written in here. Who knows what these 5 lines are called? Anybody know what those are called? Yes, I think Alex just said it. I heard him say it. Very good. See, I told you I can hear you guys. Just barely, I can hear you. He said the staff. He's got it. It is the staff. So in music, the staff is 5 lines and 4 spaces. Those 5 lines and 4 spaces is where we put the notes. The notes are something else we're going to have to talk about today. Is the notes are what tell us what key to push. They tell us how long to hold down the notes, and we need to talk about all of that as quick as we can today. So this is where we put it. In piano, though, we can't just have 1 staff. We need 2 staves. All right, now who knows what it's called if we have 2 staves? Anybody know? Nobody remembers. Am I just going to have to tell you guys? Yes, Alex said it. The grand staff. Very good. It is the grand staff. So for the piano, because we're using both hands and we have 88 possible notes, there is only 1 other instrument that can play more notes than a piano, and it's an organ. So no other instrument normally can play as many notes. So we need 2 staves for that, for just the fact that we have so many notes you can play and we have 2 hands that we're using. All right, so the grand staff is the 2 staves. Now, who knows? Who's ever seen these things before? What is this one on the top called? Yes, you guys are awesome. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing everybody say it. It's Alex is getting all of them right. Felix has got it. Very good. This is our treble clef. It is also called G clef because it looks sort of like a G. If you don't think it looks like a G, that's okay. It also looks like a bunch of other letters. And this is our G clef or treble clef. Treble is our high stuff. High notes up here. It's all the stuff above middle C. You know that? Remember that middle C we talked about? It's all the stuff above middle C. All right. That's all right, Janaya. I'll see you later. All right, so that's our treble clef. High notes. Bass clef. Bass clef. That's an easy one. I don't have a bass voice. I can't even pretend to be a bass voice. Bass is going to be our low notes. Think of a bass guitar, double bass, bass singer. There are bass singers that can sing all the way down here. I'm not one of them. Absolutely not one of them. So that's all of our low notes. And so this helps give us a lot of the notes in piano that we're going to use. So a few of the notes that we absolutely need to know, and I'm just going to go over some real basic notes because I want to do a bunch of stuff with this and go over some music, is middle C. Middle C is the first note to learn. So if you don't know any other notes on the staff yet, middle C is the first note to learn. Don't even worry about all the others until you know middle C, until you can look at that note right there and say, hey, that's this note on my piano. You want to be able to immediately go down to your piano and just say, I know that note. I know exactly where that note is. I want to make it, you want it to be easy, easy, easy for you. So outside of middle C, there's a couple different ways to remember the notes on the staff. One of them is going to be this, is we use something called guide notes. I like guide notes. I also like the acronyms that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. The guide notes are these notes that there's something about the music that tells you where those notes are and what those notes are. And they're going to be a little bit easier to remember. And they're good notes to remember because they're far enough away from middle C that it gives you just another note on the staff that you want to just know as like, boom, as easy as middle C. You want it to be one of those notes you see this note right here and you go, oh, I know what that note it is. It's this one. You want to just know what note that is. And the way we know this is treble G, remember that I called this G clef? So let's try to make this into a G. So let's look at this. We're going to take this around like this. Use this line right here to make it look like a G. Come over here and we get G. The original use of that is just to call it a G clef. Then when we come down here, wait, before I do that, where is this G? It's just above middle C. It's the G above middle C. Bass clef, same thing. This is a cursive F. I promise you it is. For those of you that they're young enough and haven't done cursive Fs yet, I promise you this is a cursive F. You put the line through the two dots. This line is the F line. Shows you where F is. This is the F below middle C, or to the left of middle C. So these are three notes that are really important to know. I know I said three, it looks like four. These two are the same note. They're both middle C. So just a quick look at how the notes can be drawn on the staff too. They can go in the spaces and they can go in the lines. Now let me just go over a little bit of ways to remember. I'm going to do this real quick though. Treble clef notes, the space notes, they spell the word face. Easy one to remember. Oh, Comfort, I know you were going to answer that. You were going to tell everybody. So yes, the space notes, the top ones, space notes, super easy ones. They spell face. You don't even need an acronym for it. There's no need. It spells a real word, a real English word. So it makes it really easy to remember. Now, what I want all students to do is not to just remember that it's face, because I've got 7 Fs on my piano. So how do I know which F that F is? You want to make sure you know. That's right. Alex has got it. It's the one right above middle C. F, A, C, E. So when you're learning these, just go to your piano and always play these notes as well. Same thing goes for the big clef notes. That's not a word. Asig, not a word. So we need to make something out of it. We're going to use, there's a bunch of different acronyms you can use for ACEG. One is, I'm waiting to see if anybody's going to write it in. Anybody know it? Nobody knows it. Alex is going to write his. Who knows it? I'm just going to see. What is it? Is it? Well, all cows. Yes, all cows eat. All corgis eat graciously. That's a good one, Alex. All cows eat grass. Now these notes, where's that A? So wait, here's middle C. Where's that A? It's all the way down here. It's not the A below middle C. So this is why we have to take care and actually go to the piano and play the notes as we're learning them. A, C, E, G. Make sure that we really know where those notes are. A, C, E, G. Really good, important, and even just say whatever your acronym is. All cows eat grass. All cars eat gas. Whatever it is. Then there's ones for the line notes as well. If you guys want to learn those, we've got lots of different ones. But I would just say a good idea is just to come up with your own. Come up with your own line note acronym. Every good boy does fine. Great big doves fly away. It can be whatever you want it to be for bass and treble clef. All right, we need to real quick talk about note values. Woo, what is this doing to me? Note values. We need to learn about 5 different note values so that we can play a song. First one we need to know is the whole note. Do we have anybody in here from in the UK or Ireland today? Anybody? So he says, but Alex, you're not actually in the UK right now. So as long as we don't, I'll just use the American words. So the American word whole note, a whole note is just an oval with a space in it. It gets 4 counts. And when I say 4 counts, that means you're counting to 4 when you hear this note or you see this note like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right, Yvonne. 4 beats, 4 counts, 4 beats. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. All cows eat grass. Good, Elizabeth. Awesome. You all know this stuff. This is great. So, yeah, I know, Comfort. You've learned this stuff already. You guys are awesome. So, yeah, the whole note is 4 counts. All right, the next one. This is a hard one, sort of, in some ways. The half note. Half note It's called a half note because it's half of something. What is a half note half of? Anybody know what a half note is half of? Anybody know? Nobody knows? Comfort, if you can just type it in. I know. Normally I call on you. Half of, it's two. That's it, Alex. 2 beats. It is half of a whole note. A whole note is 4. A half note is 2. So all of these are names based on the whole note. Half note gets 2. If we're counting half notes, we're going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you notice I didn't just count to 2? I counted to 4 still. We're going to keep counting to 4. Yes. So we're going to count to 4 because most music overall has a 4-beat pattern. And so we want to keep ourselves in that 4-beat pattern. We go to quarter notes. We're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarter note is kind of our standard beat. It gets 1 beat. It is, yes, a beat of a whole note. That's right. It's 1 beat out of the whole note. It is a quarter of a whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to count to 4 because wouldn't it be real silly if I just counted to 1? I went 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I wouldn't know where I was in my beat pattern. It just would not feel right. And then, Comfort knows a 3-beat note. How do we make a 3-beat note? Who knows how we make a 3-beat note? Because that's the one that's missing. We've got a 1, a 2, and a 4. Felix says it with a dot. Yes. You guys are awesome. We're going to talk about the dotted notes. And you might notice something different about these measures. There's only 3 beats. We're only going to count to 3. Dotted half note gets 3. This is how this works. Half note gets 2 counts. When you add a dot, you cut it in half. Here's what you do. You cut that note in half. You make it, so 2 divided 2 cut in half is 1. You add that 1 to the original value of the note. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So we get 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here's the hard one. We've got 2 more types of notes to learn. I know I said 5 notes. We're going to do 6 different notes. We have the dotted quarter note. We do the same thing. The original gets 1 dot, though. So half of 1 is half. 1 plus 1/2 is 1.5. So you notice that I added these ands in between. It's because we're getting 1.5. So we have to count it this way. This is a hard one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's a hard one, right? That's a little bit harder, I think. 1 and 2 and 3 and. But we will see dotted quarter notes quite a bit. Even as beginners, you're going to see dotted quarter notes. One other type of note. I've got the 16th notes over here. We're not going to talk about those. We're just going to do 8th notes. 8th notes are half a beat. There are 8 8th notes in a whole note. Yes, the ands do help the counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. If I'm counting to 4, it'll sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's just adding that and. It just kind of helps to talk out loud. If you are counting something in any music you're learning, if it's brand new, I recommend count out loud. Don't feel silly. It's not silly to count out loud. Just counting out loud, actually verbalizing the rhythm, it helps so much to verbalize rhythm. All right, so before I run out of time, I want to show you what the scale looks like written down. I did give you guys this. This is going to be in your journal, so you do have this available to download later. I wrote the letter names in as well as the finger numbers. Remember, finger numbers are important. And in scales, those finger numbers, the finger pattern that we just went over, that's the same finger pattern for half of all the 24 scales. So Remember that for each hand, half of the scales use the exact same finger pattern. So if you learn it for C major, it's going to make a lot of the other scales easier to learn once you've got that down. All right, next thing I want to do. Here we go. We're going to learn a little bit of Stand By Me. We're going to do the easy version first. We're going to look at right hand version first only. I didn't make this super easy, but it's easy enough. We're going to start. I even tell you what 5-finger position to put your hand. Wasn't that nice of me as a teacher? I'm not usually this nice. Why am I doing this? I'm kidding. I always do this. 5-finger position means your thumb is going to start on D. So for those of you that can see my keyboard, this will help a little bit. I'm going to start with second finger on E. And is this. And we're going to think of it as finger numbers. 2, 4, 5, 2, 4. Uh-oh, I didn't put a 4 in there. I can, Comfort. I can hear you playing it. You're doing awesome. 2, 3, 4. Why did I say 2, 3, 4? 2, 4, 5. Sorry about that. 2, 4. Then the whole hand is going to scoot down one to play the rest of it. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. 1, 3, 2. 1, 2, 2, 1. Alex, did you say you've played it on violin? Awesome. That is awesome. See how you're doing the same pattern as you do it on the violin. He says he's played it on the violin, so he's doing the same kind of groupings. That's awesome. Let's show that one more time. Don't worry, I have 3 different lines of the same, and it gets a little harder each time. 2, 4, 5, 2, 4. Scoot your hand down. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3, 2. 1, 2, 2, 1. Somehow my finger numbers disappeared when I copied this over from my other version of this. So sorry about that for some of these finger numbers being out. I'm not sure what happened to them. So that's the easy version. And you're just moving your hand down when you're starting with your thumb on D, then you move your hand down 1 to get to that. Now, this is just the melody part. This is just the sung part, normally the sung part of the song. So normally when someone's singing it, you have a little more going on. So what I've done for the second line is I've given some chords. So for anyone that's already learned chords, so only if you've already learned chords. So don't worry if you haven't learned chords yet. We have plenty of classes for learning chords on TakeLessons.com. But what you can do is instead of looking at those chords that I have written down over there for the left hand, look at the letters that I have written above if you don't know the chords. You can just play A in your left hand, then C, then A, then F, then G, then C. And that'll at least give you something to play in your left hand and get you working both hands together. So let me see if I did this. I'm just going to play, I'm going to pick 2, an A and a C. So I'm just going to find an A here. There's an A and there's a C. So I'll do. Then F. And those notes, those letters that you play, you can play them anywhere you like, actually. And some of them might sound a little odd and a little awkward, because with the whole chord, it sounds better. So that's why. Let me show you what it sounds like if I play the full chords. So these full chords, we're starting with an A minor chord. This is really for those of you that already know your chords. I like to throw something a little more advanced in here sometimes. We start with an A minor, we go to C, then we go back to A minor. These are actually really easy to get to. I'm only changing one note at a time until I get to G, and then when I get to G, I just scoot my whole hand over. So it'll sound like this. Oh, can I record it? Okay, I'll do that for my recap video. So it adds a little bit something to it. Now that's just chords. Now there is another way you can do it. This is the hard rhythm way to do it. Anybody think this sounds familiar? That sounds like it, doesn't it? That sounds a little more like it, right? I'm not going to do it that fast. I'm going to show you what it sounds like with this. If I do it really slow. Then I move my right hand down. Sorry, I did that wrong. And I can keep going. I can go back and do that again. So this is that rhythmic version. And this is why we needed to learn the note values. This is way down here on this C quarter note. That is a rest, by the way. I did not talk about the rest. This is an 8th rest. Learn it on a flute, but faster, and on the recorder. Yeah, it does go a little faster. Sorry, that was wrong. Eventually, you can get it up to tempo. So let me go over what that left hand is doing. So what I do is I start with my thumb on C. It is C, C, G, B, C, 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 B, A. And that's the first pattern. Here's what I like to tell students to do is learn things in little sections. Don't feel like you have to read through this whole thing at once. If you're still learning to read notes, don't worry about it. You can get this. And if you can remember all cows eat grass, then you can find all of these notes in the beginning. All cows. Hey, wait a minute, that's a C. That's the C below middle C. Look at that. We've already found that note. So that's as far as I ever want a student to go until they learn that perfectly. Then you learn that perfectly, and then you figure out the next part. Notice I'm going about 2 measures at a time. Just take it in little sections. Always just kind of take it easy, take it in small sections. Don't feel like you have to kind of take in everything all at once. This is not like reading a book. Imagine if you were trying to memorize a book you were reading. Or imagine you were in a Shakespeare play. Man, I can't imagine trying to learn all those words in that kind of English. Got to be hard, but you see people do it, and you know that they don't just read through the whole thing. Oh my gosh, Alex, you know Hamlet? Man, that's amazing. So they don't just read through the entire thing. They take it in little sections, and they memorize this part, then they memorize the next part, or they learn it. Even if they're not memorizing it, you don't have to memorize, but you want to be taking things in small sections to make sure you get it. I think I also shared with you guys It's a Small World. If I did not, I will. I am going to share it before we're done today. But I have to stop for just a second and make sure nobody has any questions because I have 1 minute left. And I want to make sure that if anybody out there in Facebook land has any questions for me, please ask. Let me know, and I will get those questions. I just want to make sure everybody does. Any at all. And it can be any musical question you have. This is not Stump the Teacher Day, though. Thank you, Comfort. It's not Stump the Teacher Day like, do you know the song by? No. If it's a theory question, you can try. Well, if there are no questions, I'm going to wait for like another minute or two to see if anybody has any questions. Oh, let's see. We've got one. Try incorporating a metronome for the timing. People will understand better. That's good. That's a good idea. Well, let me go over what that is. Let me talk about what a metronome is. A lot of people don't have them, and this is what an old school metronome looks like. I do have one up on my piano here. And metronomes are useful. They will give you the overall beat. So for example, this is kind of a beat pattern. So let me keep this down here. So see, it's coming after the first note, comes right on the beat. The second note comes after the second beat. So yeah, metronomes are useful also, as well as the metronome. When you're first doing it, a really good way to do it is count out loud. Let me do that real quick. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Really good way to do that. Count out loud. I will make sure I incorporate metronome into the next. That is a great comment. I love it. Thank you so much. Now that I have students telling me to incorporate metronome, nobody can complain about me doing the metronome. Let's see. Clicks on a keyboard can work too. Are you saying just making a noise on your keyboard? Sure, Debbie Field. Thank you. No, I love it. That's great. I love the metronome. I use it all the time. Well, you know what? I'm a little overtime, and I don't want to keep everybody on Facebook on all day, all night. So if you do have any other questions, please type your questions in. And I know, Alex, I'm sorry. If you're in my next class, I'll let you. It's incorporated in the rhythm. Clicks on the keyboard. I'm trying to think what you mean by that. The clicks on the keyboard. I probably do know what you mean. I'm just trying to think what you're meaning. It's yes, I can hear you, Yvonne. Uh-huh. Oh, I see. So she has a special kind of synthesizer electric piano that actually has a part that will click for you, kind of click the beats for you, which is kind of cool. There are synthesizers that will sort of do that and help you to keep that rhythm, and that is actually good too. But a lot of keyboards don't have that, and of course I have an acoustic, so not really an option on acoustic. But that's good if you do have that in there. All right. So, well, anyway, the stuff that we went over and that Stand By Me in 3 different ways that I shared, that is available in your journal. The scales file, the basics of reading piano music. There's also 2 other things that I share. One is a grand staff notes file. If you are learning the notes on the grand staff, good idea, print that out. Have it next to your piano or your keyboard. And if you don't know what a note is, and you forgot your acronym, or you're having trouble finding a note, or something doesn't sound right, pull that out and go, okay, let me make sure I'm playing the right note, because that will tell you all of the notes for most of the piano, about 2/3 of a full-size piano. All right. Well, thank you all so much. And for everybody out there that is in Facebook, make sure you check out TakeLessons.com/live. That is a great place to find out what my next class is going to be and what other classes you can take. You can also go to the Facebook page. I linked that up at the top. Let me see if I can link it again. Boom, there it is. Piano with Take Lessons Facebook page right there. That will also, so those of you that are already on Facebook, you know this, of course. And those of you in the class right now, you can actually join that Facebook class, and that'll tell you a little more about upcoming classes. And you can find a lot of other saved videos and saved classes that are in there. Not just this one. You can find a few other saved classes. There's even TakeLessons Facebook page for the languages as well. So check those out. It's a great way to find out a little bit more. So thank you all for coming again. And I have another class coming up in 10 minutes. So those of you that are on here, please come to my next class and learn a little bit more. So thank you. Thank you all. See you all later.